Let's face it, artificial intelligence is moving so fast it feels almost impossible to keep up. So, to really get a handle on where this is all headed, we need to break it down. We're going to explore four key frontiers. First, how AI is suddenly available to pretty much everyone. Second, how it's starting to make huge decisions that affect your life. Third, the totally new rulebook for creativity it's forcing us to write. And finally, the pretty serious hidden costs that come with all this amazing power. But really, all of that boils down to one single driving question. What actually happens when technology this powerful gets this easy for anyone to use? It's this constant push and pull, between incredible access and incredible consequences. And that tension, well, that's the thread that connects everything we're about to dive into. Okay, so let's jump into our first frontier, this massive shift that people are calling the democratization of AI. For the longest time, building AI was kind of like this exclusive club, right? You needed a PhD, access to a supercomputer, the whole deal. Well, that era is over. The doors to that club have been blown wide open, and the tools are being handed out to everybody. And the magic key that's unlocking all of this is something called AutoML, which stands for Automated Machine Learning. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's AI that builds other AI. It's wild. This means you don't have to be a coding genius anymore. You can be an expert in your own field, a doctor, a farmer, a small business owner, and build it custom AI. For example, there's this great story about a farmer in Japan who used it to create an AI that sorts cucumbers by size and shape, a really complex task his parents had done by hand for decades. The process itself is becoming shockingly simple. It's basically 3 steps. First, you provide your data, like thousands of pictures of cucumbers. Step 2, you define your goal. You just tell the AI what you want it to do, like sort these into 9 different categories. And then for step 3, you just let the AutoML platform do all the heavy lifting. It automatically builds and trains a custom model just for you. It is a genuine game changer. And that leads us straight to our next frontier. Because when anyone can build an AI, what happens? Well, they get put to work everywhere. And that means that AI is now making critical, automated decisions that affect pretty much every part of our lives. And a lot of the time, we don't even know it's happening. And I'm not talking about some sci-fi future here. This is happening right now. AI has become this silent partner in huge sectors like finance, healthcare, and even government. It's making calls that can have massive consequences for you as an individual. Let's look at just how personal this gets. Take your money, for example. The next time you apply for a credit card, a car loan, or a mortgage, there's a very, very good chance that an AI algorithm is going to be the first one to review it, and maybe even the one to make the final decision. In just a few seconds, it can weigh hundreds of different factors about you to decide your financial future. Or let's think about something even more critical, your health. Right now, AI models are being used to analyze medical scans and patient data to help doctors with diagnoses. They can spot patterns the human eye might just miss, which is incredible. The potential for good is just enormous. But it also raises these huge questions about accountability. What happens when an algorithm gets it wrong? Who's responsible? So, this explosion of AI brings us to our third frontier. And this one, it's messy. It's fascinating, and it's ethically, complicated. We're talking about generative AI. This is the kind of AI that doesn't just analyze stuff. It actually creates brand new things: art, music, text, code. And it's forcing us to completely rewrite the rules of creation itself. It all starts with a question that sounds simple but is anything but. Who's the author? I mean, if an AI generates a beautiful piece of art or an amazing song, who owns the copyright? Is it the person who typed in the prompt, the company that built the AI, or does it maybe belong to no one at all? Right now, the courts are just beginning to try and figure this out. And then we're facing this huge challenge of authenticity. As these tools get better and better, it becomes nearly impossible to tell the difference between something a human made and something a machine generated. This has profound implications for things like trust and art. And of course, it opens the door for some really sophisticated and scary misinformation. And underpinning all of this is the data itself. What are these models trained on? Well, they're trained on these vast oceans of information scraped from the internet. We're talking about our photos, our writing, our data. And that raises some serious privacy concerns about how all our personal and public information is being used, a lot of the time without any of us giving our explicit consent. Which brings us to our fourth and final frontier, something that's easy to overlook when we're talking about innovation. And that's the hidden cost. One of the biggest is AI's massive environmental impact. The digital world feels kind of weightless, right? Like it all just exists in the cloud. But the truth is, it has a very real and very heavy physical footprint. To put this into perspective for you, training just one of these big, large-scale AI models can use as much electricity as hundreds of homes use in an entire year. Now, think about that level of energy use and then multiply it by the thousands of these models being built all over the world. It presents a serious challenge to our climate goals. So the challenge is pretty clear. Right now, as you can see, the energy use is incredibly high. The goal for researchers is to drastically lower that bar. They're trying to develop more efficient algorithms and specialized hardware to create models that are just as powerful, but way less power hungry. It's a race to make all this innovation sustainable for the long run. And that really brings us to the core conflict that's shaping the future of AI. It's this giant balancing act. On one side, you have this relentless push for innovation to make AI more powerful, more accessible. But on the other side, you've got this necessary pull of responsibility, the demand for ethical rules and environmental sustainability. Finding the right balance between these two forces, that's the great challenge of our time. Which leaves us with one final thought. The power of artificial intelligence is growing exponentially. There's no question about that. The real question is, are we as a society growing wise enough and fast enough to wield it responsibly?